Hey guys, today we're going to go over a distal radial fracture, which is of course fracture of the distal radius, which affects your wrist, and how it happens is through falling on an outstretched hand.
One time, oh crap, I'm late for rehab. Foosh!
And we're going to go through the different phases of healing as well as how to properly cast it. And for phase one, we're going to go through general range of motion of non-involved joints. And so with the casting on the fracture, we want to limit the movement for that because it's still going through healing. So initially we want to control the edema, which could be used with the Coven wrap or the isotoner gloves that you can purchase online somewhere. Phase two, we're going to start doing some early range of motion, strengthening the wrist with still, we want to still have the protection on it, but while we're doing the strengthening, we'll have it off for that part. And of course, phase three is plyometric exercises.
For a distal radius fracture, you want to maintain a neutral position for the thumb. So that's basically at a straight angle. It'll be 45 degrees up from the wrist. For bracing, we used a plexi orthoplasty plastic, which you put in hot water, heat it up, and it's very pliable, and you can cut it and mold it to whatever shape you wanted. After fitting the brace or the orthoplasty, you want to let it sit for a little while and harden up. To make sure the shape is nice and tight and snug, you want to strap little white bands around to make sure that the cast is held tight while it's still bonding together. After that, the cast can be taped with a few straps or self-adhesive tape to keep it tight during the day, and it can be left on at night as well during sleep.
Phase one, range of motion of non-involved joints, which includes shoulders, so we'll do some lateral raises for that to strengthen it, as well as elbow and finger exercises. So we want to practice on our elbow flexion and extension. So using basic office supplies, we created a flexion glove, and Jonathan is going to demonstrate the isolated MCP flexion, full fist flexion, and MCP extension with PIP flexion through glides. As you see, the rubber bands are attached for resistance, and it's used for strengthening the fingers. So for phase two, we're going to do range of motion for the wrist. We're going to be using the resistance band for wrist extension and flexion. So if you get an underhand grip of it, and also put your arm on a supported surface so that you're kind of isolating just your wrist muscles. For extension, I'm just going to get an underhand grip and extend your wrist back. And of course, over time, you would just get a different resistance band that has a higher resistance to increase the strength. And then if you do it the other way, we are practicing for the flexor muscles. And for ulnar deviation, you want to have the TheraBand above it at a stable and just ulnar deviate that. We also want to do some closed chain exercises, so Jonathan's going to demonstrate some push-ups for that for wrist strengthening. Then you want to progress to a more unstable surface, and we're going to demonstrate it on a Bosu ball. Also for wrist strengthening, we probably want to add some more weight-bearing exercises, so we're going to do some rope twists. And then of course, over time, you would just increase the weight that you are doing them. Phase three, we're going to start incorporating plyometric exercises, so we can do medicine ball throws, trying to stabilize your arm as much as possible using just your wrists. And this would be another form of medicine ball throws for the wrist.
More specific plyometric exercise for bowling would be wrist flexion with ulnar deviation.
More specific one would be practicing baseball swings.